In a landmark move, the Indian government has opened its doors for professionals to fill senior management positions. The National Government Hiring Agency has announced lateral recruitment for 10 Joint Secretary level posts for non-civil servants. According to the circular, anyone with the required expertise with 15 years of experience and above the age of 40 can apply. This is the first time that senior management positions have been opened up for non-civil servants. But unlike the other civil servants, these 10 new joint secretaries will not remain in service till they turn 60. It's a contractual employment for 3 years and can be extended by 2 more years. Unlike the civil services exam, there is no written test for these posts. The selection panel will pick the candidates on the basis of personal interactions. The 10 departments where the openings have been announced are Revenue, Financial Services, Economic Affairs, Agriculture, Corporation and Farmer Welfare. Road Transport and Highways have also been opened, as have Shipping, Environment and Forests and Climate Change Ministries, as well as Renewable Energy and Civil Aviation and Commerce. Joint secretaries are placed at a crucial level of management in government operations. They lead policy making as well as the implementation of various programs and schemes of their departments. They report to the secretary in the ministry and are normally appointed through UPSC exams. More than 48 lakh employees work in various central government departments. According to a 2015 report, nearly 4,20,000 posts are lying vacant. The case of lateral entrance into government ministries is bound to lead to debate over specialists and generalists. While bringing in experts could help the government understand the impact of its policies on the various stakeholders, which include the private sector, non-government sector and the larger public, IAS officers, on the other hand, after working with the government for years, have a better understanding of the operational aspect of their ministries. Secondly, IAS officers are generally recruited at a very young age when it's difficult to test potential administrative and judgment capabilities. A lateral entrant is bound to bring in the required skill set needed for the post, but in some cases, a lateral entrant may struggle to fit into the system, facing hostility from the IAS network, ultimately setting them up for failure. Career progressions for a bureaucrat are almost automatic, so a lateral entrant is necessary to push the IAS out of their comfort zone, some say, and challenge them. But lateral entrants may be questioned for their motives on whether they are trying to promote their personal interests by joining the government. Some say lateral entry will challenge the existing bureaucracy to constantly reinvent itself and will counter the structural failings and prove to be an antidote to complacency that can set in a bureaucratic setup. Due to this, the career trajectory of civil servants has become increasingly uncertain and insecure. And some say while a lateral entry will bring in much needed outside experience, it may also deter talented people away from the civil services. This is not the first time that the government has ventured into lateral hiring to fill in crucial positions in the administration or the government. Last year, Vaidya Rajesh Kotecha, who was an Ayurvedic doctor, was appointed by the Indian government as the Special Secretary in the Ministry of Ayush. His appointment was the first instance of lateral entry into a secretary-level position. Before this, Parameshwaran Iyer, who was a retired IAS officer, returned from the US to head Prime Minister Modi's flagship cleanliness drive, the Swachh Bharat Mission. He is probably the first former bureaucrat to have been appointed to the post in the ministry instead of a serving IAS officer. Nandan Nilekani left Infosys, a company that he co-founded, to serve as the chairman of the Unique Identification Authority of India, a cabinet ranking position. He was responsible for the development of Aadhaar, which according to the World Bank is the world's most sophisticated ID program. And former Indian Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh, who was a professor in the Delhi School of Economics, began his bureaucratic career after he was hired as an advisor in the Ministry of Commerce and Industry in 1972. In 1976, he was appointed a secretary in the finance ministry. He went on to become the deputy chairman of the Planning Commission and then advisor to the Prime Minister on economic affairs. After finishing his studies in London, former Indian President K.R. Narayanan joined the Indian Foreign Service on the request of the then Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru. He worked as a diplomat in embassies in Tokyo, London, Canberra and Hanoi. He was also appointed the ambassador to Thailand, Turkey and China. Later, he was recalled from his retirement to serve as the ambassador to the US. Satyanarayanan Gangaram Pitroda, popularly known as Sam Pitroda, was a telecom engineer in the US before he was given the task to extend digital communications to remote corners of India by then Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi. Mr. Pitroda launched the Centre for the Development of Telematics and was the founding chairman of India's Telecom Commission. He has also served as the advisor to the Prime Minister with a cabinet rank and was tasked with helping democratize information. It's not just India. Lateral entry at high government positions is very common in America. Rex Tillerson, the chairman of ExxonMobil, was the Secretary of State in the Trump administration up till March this year. Exxon is the world's 6th largest company by revenue. Another instance is Condoleezza Rice, who was a professor at Stanford University. She was inducted into the American government as a Soviet expert on the US National Security Council. She later went on to become the first female African-American Secretary of State. For more reactions to the government move, earlier we spoke to Sushil Chandra Tripathi, a former secretary at the Union Petroleum Ministry. As an IS officer, he has over 20 years experience at the state, central government and international level. And we began by asking him whether he thought the IS and civil service officers will take the government move as an encroachment or as an opportunity.
Neither. In fact, it is not the first time that such an action is being taken. After all, Dr. Manmohan Singh, Montek Ahluwalia, to mention just a few names, they all came via such a route and they succeeded and they were very well accepted. So it is the government's prerogative to get the best talent, and there is no issue. I think IAS in the past has also accepted them, as well as the industrial management pool, economic advisors in various ministries.
But Mr. Tripathi, there are bound to be issues with regard to the selection process. For example, it's the cabinet secretary who will be heading that.
The first issue, that the selection must be through a very transparent and fair mechanism and should be able to get the best people available. There is constitutional mandate for UPSC, so the selection should not be done by government but by UPSC. Otherwise, it would appear as if government is conducting elections and not the election commission.
Mr. Tripathi, the opposition says it's a way to sabotage the system so that RSS, BJP and corporate houses can directly influence the government from inside.
I do not know and I would not like to comment, but therefore I said, when there is a constitutional body given the mandate for selection to higher positions in the government, that should be referred to, that should be involved, rather than the government doing directly. Even if the government does a wonderful job, it will not carry the same conviction.
But will it be a disincentive for those who slog for years in the competitive system? After all, we know what the UPSC exams and selection process is all about.
No, as it is, there are a number of very talented people who appear at UPSC exam. At this point of time, between 50 to 75% of the entrants are normally having an MBA or a technical degree. So it is not so. What I am suggesting is that if the selection is made only for 3 years, then a person from private sector may not feel very encouraged to come here, because the money will not be that attractive. The best will not come. Therefore, it should be for 5 years, extendable to 10 years. Then a person with a proper value system, who will like to make a career in government or public sector, will feel encouraged to come.
But Mr. Tripathi, won't it impact civil servants? Won't they feel that their jobs are at risk?
Now, that is the third point I am wanting to bring up. You see, these people who will come from outside the government system, they will take quite some time to understand the working of the government. Government does not work only in the files and buildings. Government works right from the village level to block level, tehsil level, district level, state level and central level, and not in one ministry or department, but plethora of departments and agencies. So this person, if he is totally from an environment other than the government, he will take a long time. And I suggest that a person with expertise in the areas that the government has indicated and having proper domain knowledge should come as an advisor. He would then be more effective in providing inputs for government in policy making than coming as a joint secretary, where he'll get bogged down in the procedures, file work, in consulting various ministries, consulting state government, with which he is not very comfortable, and he may be taken for a ride by his juniors like section officers, under secretaries and deputy secretaries.
S.C. Tripathi, a former Secretary Union Petroleum Ministry, speaking to us earlier.